Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to another episode of Trudge Report. This is a recovery-based podcast, but don't worry. If you're not sober or you're not ready to be sober, we talk about plenty of other things, including sports, trending topics, and a good bit of nonsense. My name is Sean, and I am your host. I'm joined by my good friends and fellow trudgers, Bill, Corey, and Greg. Please remember to listen on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Our videos will still be posted each week, so you can watch episodes on YouTube and Facebook. But as always, please be sure to download on your listening platforms. Remember to like and subscribe on all social media outlets with the handle @TrudgeReportPod. We are brought to you by Stella Mix Podcast Management and our wonderful producer and editor, Miss Janine Stella. Gentlemen, good evening, good day. Let's start with Corey. How are you, sir?
I was hoping you didn't. I'm good, Sean. I'm good. The Eagles won yesterday. That's why I'm good. But I don't know. We're gonna face Minnesota or the Rams this Sunday or Sunday, and I don't know. I feel like they both look better than we did. So we'll see. But I'm happy about that.
Philly fans were like, some of you guys were trying to turn the win into a negative, which is only something that Philadelphia sports fans can do. Just like hats off to you. It's the only city that can do that.
No, you got to be realistic with yourself. You got to be realistic.
Your defense was unbelievable.
Yes, the defense was. I think everybody can acknowledge that. But I don't know. Just seemed like. But I will say, we rested our starters last week, so they had a little time off. Maybe it's just going to take a game to get fully in rhythm.
There's nothing against getting better. Nothing against getting better as the playoffs go on.
I mean, you guys came out and punched him in the face. Literally, the very first.
That was electric. Game, so. That was cool. And you know what? The only other thing I want to mention about that game, and I know that
it's definitely not going to be the only thing you mentioned tonight. But okay, go ahead.
No, probably. Sean, you guys make me out to be way worse
I just like to make fun of you. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I know. Saquon sliding on that last play to just seal the deal. You know what I mean? Like, what a guy. Also, why wouldn't he? Also, why wouldn't he? Like Devontae Smith and AJ Brown were like, why didn't you take it to the house? Well, because why would he? Why would he? Why risk another yard? But I don't know. What a guy. That's unselfishness for sure. So I don't know.
What do we think of AJ Brown reading a book on the sideline?
Can I just
only a receiver take that to the house anyway.
Stop it. I have data on this. This is the second thing I'll mention about this game. I knew you guys were going to come for this. I knew you guys were going to do this. Listen, at first, yes, it looked to me like it looked to everybody else. I'm like, oh my God, look at him. He's being a little bitch.
No, he always has a book.
Exactly. He always has a book.
But that's my point. Why is it on the sideline? Come on, dude.
Right.
Be in the moment. Be with your team.
He said he said it helps him he said it helps him clear his mind and whatever. But yes, Sean, thank you. He always has a book. They just pointed out yesterday when he only has 10 yards or whatever. So, look at him. He's frustrated. He doesn't care about this. He's just reading now on the sideline. In week 16, he was reading the same damn book. He had 97 yards, 1 touchdown, and 8 receptions.
He should probably get a new book then.
Maybe he should. Yeah, but that book,
I don't think he can read.
That book did go to the top of the top sellers on Amazon.
I got something for Bill DeLuca on that as far as not knowing.
Go ahead. I'm done.
Here in a minute, but
I'm done. Go ahead.
Are we good? George Pickens doesn't know what the word optimistic means clearly.
Dude.
So that was pretty wild.
What happened?
They're both bad, ill-tempered, bad-mannered men.
But here's the thing: is
I'm dead serious. What happened?
Like in the post-game conference, they're asking George Pickens about like the game and how he feels that the team has developed over the last 3 seasons that he's been there or whatever. And he's like, yeah, I feel like we're building towards something good, or we're getting better year after year. And then a reporter asks him, well, are you optimistic about next season? He just goes, no. and everybody's making a big deal about it because they think it's like that.
Maybe he's really not optimistic.
I really don't think he knows what the word optimistic means. I don't think he understands what that means. I think but yeah, that's pretty funny nonetheless.
I agree with them.
This is Bill. I'm going to clip old episodes of Bill talking so much trash about.
Well, you won't have to go. You won't have to go back far.
The full circle.
I finally eat crow, and you guys just want to shove it down my.
A couple weeks ago, he goes,
they
should just throw the game so they get a higher draft pick. You were already.
I was right.
Yeah, but you were already in the playoffs. It's not like you were going to get that much better of a draft.
No, because we would just would have lost this game, right? So yeah, it would have been about the same. But
well, here's the deal, though, and again. I know we kind of mentioned it the other day when we did our little side video or whatever, which you can find on YouTube, by the way.
Little side piece.
Oh, whoa.
But
little something.
If the seeding was done the proper way, we talked about it already. It's like, okay, cool. So the 4 division winners get in just like they currently do, but the seeding should go traditionally down 1 through 7, and it should go that way. If it goes that way, then the Chargers and the Texans don't play each other. They play.
I don't have a problem with the way the NFL seeds it. I think there can only be 1 division winner, and I don't know. I get what you're saying, though. I do get what you're saying.
But then again, we're and I guess it doesn't really.
I don't want to be
too much of a difference.
What do you mean that you're saying that?
How Minnesota? Minnesota had almost as good of a record as Detroit, obviously, but they went from either being the 1 seed to the.
They don't
5
get a home
seed.
game. They don't get a home game in the playoffs.
I don't mind that though, because I think only 14-3 should. I get it. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, but when you play in an extremely soft division like
but
the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah.
It comes and goes. Everyone thought Cleveland was going to be good this year.
2 years ago, the AFC North was one of the softest divisions out there.
Yeah.
Or 3 years ago or whatever, right? You know what I mean? But I get what you're saying. I do understand. That's kind of the same argument that they're using for college football this year.
There's no perfect. I don't think there's a perfect solution.
No.
I will say this, and Bill, I promise you, all kidding aside,
let it all out, Sean.
No. This is not a shot at the Steelers. I respect the hell out of Tomlin. I even respect.
No, this is you're trying to up your team by saying we're just so fucking good. Blah, blah,
let me finish. I swear, it's not even my second favorite team. First off, this is not a shot at the Steelers. This is not anything about the Ravens. Russell Wilson is a buffoon. He talks in so much. He talks in circles. I listened to his interview today, like after the post. He was like, "Oh, I just love ball, dude, and like I got some years in me, and I just love the game. When it's good, when it's bad, I just love the game. It was like
he reminds me of a Cali lifeguard or something. Like
he reminds me of Carlton from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yes, but a little lifeguard version of him. Yeah, like it's like
with like a little suntan lotion on his nose.
I'm all done with him. Yeah. Like he's gone. He better be gone.
He is definitely.
So who do you want? You want to keep Fields or you want to go after somebody else?
I want to trade TJ Watt. I want to trade TJ Watt. I want to bomb this team. I want to get rid of Mike Tomlin. Burn it to the ground.
No, don't get rid of Tomlin.
Burn her down, baby. Wow. Look,
I can't wait until Mike Tomlin's on TV because he's going to make a hell of a TV guy.
Dude's lost by double digits in like 5 straight playoffs.
He's also at the longest tenure winning season though, which I know again doesn't mean anything at the end of the day, but it's still pretty impressive.
Okay, but the GM's putting the players together.
Right, I understand. And so he's just doing the best he can with what he's dealt. And the glaring issue is that you guys have had quarterback issues.
Shitty quarterbacks, yeah.
It's a quarterback league.
No,
if you don't have that guy, blow the team up and get the guy in the draft and try it again.
You put a Jaden Daniels at quarterback, he'll throw to Pickens all day long. You know what I mean? Like I agree. I don't think it's Tomlin. I think the defense is obviously awesome. Something's got to give with the quarterback. So you got to go. And they were saying like, oh, they could go after Derek Carr or Sam Darnold. I'm like, I don't know if any of those are the answer, to be honest with you.
I will say this.
Not when you have Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen in your conference.
Somehow figure out a way to get like Shador Sanders or something.
And Catherine, I did avoid the name Lamar Jackson there just so we all know, because I know everybody's giving me shit online, but
our wives don't listen. Bill.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm going to tell her I said it in the podcast.
She did listen to the NFL picks episode. I'll say that.
Because it was shorter.
She was flaming me in the chat, dude.
Oh, was she really?
Talking shit. Yeah,
I didn't
that's what
even
I'm
know
saying.
that. Good for her.
Yeah. And but my point is that it's not fun to watch. I was frustrated whatever weeks ago because I knew the season was over.
Yeah.
So it's not fun to watch. Like Russ stinks.
No, I get it.
You know what I mean? Like Justin Fields is interesting.
He was honestly playing good though, like midway through the year. Like he really, like I don't know, maybe it was always gonna fall apart. You know, maybe it was too good to be true. Maybe you got way more out of him than you thought. But you guys were humming, right? No, maybe not.
What's his deal? So. Like he can't hit the middle of the field, and then you got an offensive coordinator that doesn't spread the offense out. I feel like Russ needs the offense to be like live, like you know what I mean, like not this power formation thing. Like he's too, like he gets caught up in his own footwork. Anyway, on to the real story this week. Happy birthday to my daughter Avia. We started the birthday
Avia
Luca household. All right, we started it off real good. Cinnamon roll breakfast, little extra sprinkles on there. And, you know, we went out to a nice dinner tonight, and that's my girl. I just want to wish her happy birthday.
Is today the actual birthday?
No, it's Saturday, but it's a birthday week. I'm teaching
birthday week. Got it. I understand.
But when this comes out, it'll be the last episode before. So
nice. Yeah. Happy birthday,
Daddy loves you.
Yes, he does. We know that. We can say a lot of things about Mr. Bill DeLuca, but we know that he loves his daughter. That's for damn sure.
Well, let's start going down the list.
Hold on,
let's real quick. Let's rip this open real quick.
You know she's my kid because yesterday or Saturday she comes up to me right at the beginning of the Steelers game, asking me all these questions about the Steelers. She's all into it because she knew birthday week was coming up. Like, Dad, what was the best Steeler game ever? And this and that, to the point in which I ordered her a custom Steelers jersey for her birthday.
Nice.
That I'm going to give to her at her party with her name on the back and her birth year. So she's all in. She's like, I want to be a Steelers cheerleader for Halloween next year. Da, 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 da. It was really cute. So
my daughter's hell bent on teasing me that she wants the Eagles to lose.
Damn.
No matter who
she gets it from you.
Yeah, the girl. Yeah.
Bullshit, dude.
Cut from the same cloth.
No, it's all because her mother.
The Eagles losing all the time.
No, her mother taught her to like root for the Dolphins, and I'm like, Lucy, the fucking Dolphins aren't playing. I didn't cuss at her, but I was like,
yeah,
holy shit.
And you can find him. You can find him at Corey Mitchner.
But yeah, she teases me. Sean, can I ask you how you feel about the Commanders this weekend?
Well, I mean, I don't even know if I need to say much. I can tell you that I mentioned it to you guys in the group thread a couple weeks ago when they clinched the playoffs. Like, what an absolute thrill ride it has been having like a team that means something and is relevant and is electric and is literally winning on the last drive and the last snap of games 7 different times this season. When that field goal doinked off the upright last night, I was sitting upright on my coffee table, clutching a pillow, like doing one of these numbers, like, so it was fantastic. I loved it. And we're going to give Detroit hell, dude. I don't care what the outcome ends up being. We are going to give them hell. We're house money, baby.
You guys match up pretty decent. It just depends on whether or not their defense shows up.
I was just going to say, I think our offense can keep up with them. We need just like last night, we forced that Baker to fumble when it really, really mattered right after we didn't, get in the red zone the previous drive. We need a big turnover at some crucial point of that game. If we can do that, I think our offense can keep up with them. I really, truly do. Like, no bullshit.
I will say, dude, and
because their defense does kind of stink. Like Detroit's, well, it doesn't stink. They're injured. They're still a lot injured.
But it's like we talked about on the thing, man. And I called it because I watched the guy for years. And hats off to Baker for being a franchise quarterback and everything like that. Now he's still the same old guy. He's surrounded by better talent than he was in Cleveland.
Yeah.
That talent helps cover up those mistakes a little bit better. But the guy makes mistakes in clutch situations, and they end up costing him the game.
Mike Evans is an absolute monster.
Oh, he's a legend, dude.
He was putting Lattimore in the absolute dust. Like get off me, little boy. It was.
Yeah.
And Marshawn. I mean, he's good. Like Lattimore's one of the premier corner. Yeah, but I'm saying he I mean, Mike Evans is kind of
so's Mike Evans
too, but he's just so tall, dude. You know.
Yeah.
But
did you guys ever hear the Mike Evans story, like how he grew up and stuff?
Yeah.
I think I sent it in the chat. It's pretty wild.
I heard it when TB12 was over there doing his thing in Tampa. I remember hearing it. So
you mean Tom Brady?
Oh yeah.
Who's that?
TB12, dude. The greatest sports analyst ever. No, I'm just kidding.
He sucks. I do like Tom Brady though, but he sucks.
He's all right. He's fine. He's first time, dude. He's got to give him better. Give him a year.
Well, I will say this though too is with Brady, there's certain things. There's a list of things that he cannot talk about. So it's like because he's part owner of the Raiders. So like they've given him like a censor list. Yeah. So you know that's always kind of something too. Is like I can't really. I
don't think he's gonna do it for long. I don't think he really likes it. I think he's just kind of like I'll do it for maybe a couple years and he's good. He's good.
Then he'll come out of retirement and play another season.
No, the guy doesn't need to do anything.
They're floating his. I'm not kidding you. In some airwaves, they're floating his name as coaching candidate, possibly not this year necessarily, but possibly. I mean. We'll see.
He's going to go to Jerry World.
It's been real, buddy. I'll see you later.
TB12's going to Jerry World, bro.
Yeah, really.
God.
So. Guys, we got a special show tonight. We have another guest, and I'm going to let Greg introduce her in just a second, but I'm excited for this guest, and she's got some of her personal stories she's going to share, but also a nonprofit organization that she's a part of that's doing some really good things, and we're excited to bring her on. So with that, I'll let Greg take over and introduce our guest.
Awesome. Thank you, Sean. So it's like Sean was saying, man, it's a pleasure to have guests. Alex is going to be our second guest here on the Trudge Report, and we look forward to hearing her and having many more in the future. I've known Alex now for, man, what's it been? It's probably been like 6, maybe 7 years. I don't recall exactly when we met, but it was definitely like the 18, 19. No, I don't even think it was 9. I think it was 2018, maybe
18.
Yeah,
18.
But yeah, so Alex was without breaking HIPAA and confidentiality and all that kind of stuff too much, because we care so much about the rules here on Trudge Report. Alex was a client at a facility that I worked at, and that's how I met her. I got to kind of watch behind the scenes. I'm certainly not a clinician or anything like that. I was just the guy in charge of housing and scheduling and stuff like that. But got to see her kind of go through getting recovered and getting sober and doing the right thing. And I got to see her meet her boyfriend, who is now her husband. I believe, right? Am I accurate on that? Okay.
Yes, you are.
That was the first time you met was there or around that
in treatment. Yeah.
Yeah. So, which that's been awesome to see. And now, we've had mutual friends that we've shared a lot, and some of the same mutual friends that the other guys have as well. So, but yeah, like to get to see you kind of do what you're doing now with this nonprofit and putting it in, a friend of ours in her name and kind of like allowing her legacy to carry on is awesome, and it's what we do, right? This is what we do. We get better and we help other people. So I don't want to steal too much of your thunder, but it's been awesome getting to see you do this, and I'm so excited to have you on the pod and get to hear your story a little bit. So take it away.
Thanks, Greg.
Very cool.
First, just thanks
Welcome.
Everyone for allowing me to be on the podcast tonight. I'm Alexandria, but I go by Alex. And just a little bit about myself. Like Greg said, I am a wife. I'm a full-time student and employee. Kind of hefty schedule, but I'm also a dog mom to 4 beautifully chaotic labs. They might feature in this video tonight because they like to bark. They like to make themselves known. So if you hear them, it's just one of my dog children. I'm originally from New Mexico. But I did come out to Florida to get sober about 8 years ago, and I chose to reside here. So yeah, with a little bit about me, I want to get kind of straight into the nonprofit.
Hold on, real quick. What are you studying in school?
I am studying graphic design and digital media.
Nice.
So learning how to build websites essentially, and do a lot of
we can hire you eventually.
Yes. And that's also what I work for. So through recovery and some blessings, my husband and I both went from working at our day jobs. I worked at Papa John's. That was kind of my dead end job that I got when I first got sober. My husband was an electrician, still is, but we ended up starting our own company, which is a marketing service. So I'm kind of going to school to try to give the best quality of marketing that I can to my clients and be able to teach other people how to do so. So it's been going pretty good.
Awesome.
So yeah, the foundation was started. I have a nonprofit foundation. It's called the Elizabeth Rose Ditch Foundation, and it was founded. I'm gonna read this portion. Just bear with me, guys.
I always forget that the name was Ditch. I always forget that, and always makes me laugh.
Ditch it is. And she was a ditch, and she owned that for sure. So we founded the foundation on October 4th of 2024, which was the 2-year anniversary of her passing. She did pass to a drug overdose. So essentially our mission with this foundation is to spread overdose awareness and be able to give a safe space for resources and people to be able to get help for addiction, but also mental health. That's something that I feel like sometimes we talk a lot about addiction, but we don't point out that there are people that maybe don't struggle with addiction. They just struggle with mental health, and that's just as needed for resources. So really the mission of the foundation is to educate the community on that and be able to offer those resources, as well as we take all the donations and t-shirt purchases, tote purchases to be able to give essential items to people that are in rehab facilities. So maybe that's going to be an inpatient facility or outpatient treatment. We're even adding halfway houses and sober houses to the list. So these totes are crafted kind of specifically for somebody that's beginning their sobriety journey or their mental health journey. And it comes with some of those items. Now, how you can help and how you can get involved with the foundation. We're kind of brand new. We just started in October. So any way that you think that you could help, if you want to become a volunteer, if you want to donate, there's ability to do that through our website. And I'll give that information here in a second, just a little bit more clear cut. But there's ability to purchase a tote. I'm wearing one of the t-shirts now. It says, "I love you more." For any of you that knew about Liz, anytime you said "I love you," that was pretty much her go-to. I love you more. So that's how our shirts were created, to kind of keep her legacy alive. And just a little bit about Liz. I'll tell you really who she is and why I started this foundation. She was just a stranger that I met in treatment. I only knew her for, really, in the grand scheme of things, I mean, I met her after I met Greg. So I've actually known Greg longer than I did know her. Elizabeth was a stranger that I met in rehab. She was the spooky queen. She really loved everything horror and, dare I forget to say, Nightmare Before Christmas. She was a fanatic of that. She loved that. That was the theme of her baby shower. That was the theme of her baby girl's first birthday party. She just absolutely loved Nightmare Before Christmas. She was a family girl, and she really liked being around the fire. She is from Missouri, so there's something called the Huzzah River out there, and she liked kind of floating down the creek with her family and friends. She was the full definition of the independent woman don't need no man. with the exception of having a couple connections with some awesome fellows that I do get to be friends with today, that played pretty integral parts of her life as well. And she was really like, more than just my best friend. She was a mother to a beautiful baby girl that she gave birth to in sobriety. She was an Oxford leader. She was a student. Definitely hands down the best friend that anybody could ask for. And she did go through some of the most crucial points of my life with me. We went through it together, rehab to outpatient therapy, all the way to having a house together, or in technical terms, we had a trailer in Fort Pierce, of all places to have a trailer. Right on, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
she, she was sober for about a year and a half, coming up on a year and a half, when she did have a couple of relapses, which claimed her life. So really, long story short, the whole purpose of this whole thing is to be able to give back and hopefully prevent somebody else from losing their life too short to drugs, or really just help anybody that's struggling. She was really a big advocate on helping people. So really just keeping her legacy alive. And like I said before, you can get involved and support our cause in multiple different ways, whether that's making a donation, buying a t-shirt, or purchasing a tote to be donated. Even volunteering your time, or simply liking and following our Facebook page, getting the word out there. There's multiple different ways to help. So our website, where you can do all of these things directly, is www.theelizabethroseditchfoundation.org. It's super long. That's the hardest part of the whole process, I promise. But it is that whole shebang. And we also do offer a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week helpline. That's for anybody that needs support. It's also for anybody that wants to inquire about how to get involved. And that number is 772-207-3040. And then also, like I mentioned, we do have a Facebook page that is just the Elizabeth Rose Ditch Foundation. We don't have any other social media handles, but that will be coming soon. So kind of stay tuned for that stuff. And as far as the nonprofit, that's about it. Did you guys want me to go straight into my story?
No. That's the first off. Thank you so much, Alex. And I know,
thank you.
I know how not nervous you are to be here. And you did a fantastic job. Just for anybody who is listening and not watching this, the website and phone number will be linked in the show details, the show notes. And for anybody who is watching this, again, it's www.theelizabethroseditchfoundation.org. Elizabeth spelled traditional way, Rose, and then ditch, and then foundation spelled the traditional way.org. And again, that's 772-207-3040. We're going to upload this on our YouTube page. It'll be in all the descriptions of the shows when this show, gets uploaded and all that. And I'm sure you can probably just Google it and look it up as well.
Yeah, we have a link that was put up on our Facebook page earlier today. Perfect. Too. So
awesome.
I'll link you to the website.
Fantastic job. I have a question. First off, it's a phenomenal, cause. We've talked about it many times. I think we've had a handful of people just this past year. We've been doing this podcast die of overdose addiction and stuff. And it's what I tell the guys all the time. And what I was told was it's what makes the work we do in recovery that much more important for the one, the one person, two persons, whatever, that we will help keep them alive. But what's Oxford Leader? I heard you say that the other day, and I heard you say it tonight. I don't think I knew that about Liz. What is that?
Yeah, so she moved into one of the Oxford houses here in Port St. Lucie, that's for women and children.
Got it.
So that she, part of her story was losing custody of her daughter during her recovery. So she was able to get her daughter back, probably the quickest person that I have ever seen, put put in the hard work to be able to get her baby back. And so she moved into the Oxford house to be able to have her there. And she did. While she was there for about a year. And she did become like the house manager, if you will, or like the house leader. So she did get involved in an Oxford conference where there she received an award. And so that was pretty special. She received that award in 2022.
Very cool. I can tell you, I remember when all that happened, when she didn't have custody of her kid. And I work in the child welfare industry, and what I remember is, yes, she worked her butt off and got that kid back extremely fast, which is it's very difficult to do in the child welfare system. So.
Yes. So, like I said, cool. Quickest person I've ever seen. It was amazing to see, really.
Awesome. You guys got any questions you want to ask Alex?
I just wanted to say, Alex, thanks for coming on the show. And, I was thinking about how important and what a great friend you are for her and her family to be able to carry that on and put in that work. I know that's important. And, Liz was a sweetheart. I've known Liz probably 9 years, something like that. And she was a leader at artisanal transitional housing as well. And and she was very young. I mean, I don't even think she was of drinking age at that time.
18.
So that tells me that, I didn't know, we weren't like friends for a long period of time, but she was in my life. And it just tells me what a leader that she was and the imprint that she had on you. And it also makes me reflect on, we all needed a miracle intervention. We all needed a miracle intervention. And if I didn't have the people there to be the intervention for me, I wouldn't be here either. It'd be another sad story. So, so salute to you for coming on the show and carrying on her legacy, because I know she was definitely a sweetheart and had a lot of aspirations in life in general, and it's nice to see true friend carry that on for her and her family. So that means a lot to me in the community as well.
Yep. I'd be remiss if I didn't. I know he's not going to call it out himself, but I'm pretty sure old Corey there and his wife took Liz's kid in for a little while. So shout out to Corey and Gabby and the family there for being there for another family in need when they absolutely needed it the most, to keep the kid out of foster care and stuff like that, which is huge. I can promise you that.
Yes, absolutely. They played a huge part.
Good job, Corey.
It was the obvious thing to do, first off, and it was a small role comparatively speaking, but I appreciate it. I wanted to know, first off, let me say just real quick about Liz first off, and she was obviously very special, and I just want to mention, because I think she would definitely enjoy the fact that I mentioned the absolute hell she would give me on a constant basis. And she was just somebody who did not give a fuck about screwing with me, and it was great, and that was our relationship, and that was good. She meant a lot to Gabby and I, for sure. I wanted to know, so you might have mentioned it, maybe I missed it, but where did you get the idea for the totes specifically? So the totes have supplies and items that one might need, just basic stuff, right? That one might need. That's just getting the treatment, just kind of getting their feet wet in life again or whatever. So first off, I know you probably already mentioned it. What exactly is typically in the totes, and where did you get the idea for those specifically?
So what is in the totes is it comes with a journal, a pair of shower shoes, which AKA are flip-flops.
Hell yeah.
It comes with 3 pairs of socks, a wristband that says the Elizabeth Rose Ditch Foundation, an informational card that's going to tell you her story on the back, as well as some overdose statistics, and then a hygiene kit that is rehab approved. It's got, no alcohol in any of the ingredients. And the idea for the totes, my gosh, I really don't know where the idea came from, besides I did start this originally out of my own pocket, and I noticed a lot of other foundations in the area, or maybe nonprofits that are active for the same reasons overdose awareness, usually offer scholarships to treatment. But I didn't have the financial means to do that. Yeah. So I tried to come up with something practical that would still help people. And actually, I made a Facebook post of, what do you guys think people need in early recovery, or when they get to a treatment center that maybe, they don't come in with something, or what are like the essential items that we need when we go to recover? And I had a plethora of people that came in with basically all of the items. Everything that people mentioned is exactly what we filled the totes with.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I try to think back and place myself, treatment day one, I've been to several treatment centers myself, and even just the idea that there's people out there that give a shit enough to do something like that for a drug addict like me. So, someone who like on day one probably has yet to face the reality that I was the cause of a lot of my issues, and definitely feels very unloved. Right. It's I think that's really good for people to feel like, that there's people out there that do care.
Yeah. Shout out to using Facebook for the right reasons.
Well, and I think too, the other important thing is that a lot of people kind of think and have this opinion and mindset that like when you come down for treatment, everything is completely taken care of by a treatment center, and that's not always the case. I know that I was lucky enough that I had really good insurance for a really poor human being, and I just lucked out and got to go to a nice treatment center, but food for the weekend was not covered. Those personal toiletries, the exact things that you're getting, were not covered either. So, and then certainly too, Bill can attest to this, but like when we got into sober living, man, it was the wild, wild west. You were on your own. You were on your
I'd
own.
migrate out to that bird cage. I didn't go to rehab. So, when you're hungry and there's the grills going, you just start popping off in a conversation. You'll talk about anything.
Can I get 7 squares of toilet paper, bro?
Get a roll up and a motherfucking shrimp, bro.
Yeah, I actually have thought about doing different items for halfway houses, like a roll of paper towels, a roll of toilet paper, some Tide Pods,
carton of milk, some milk with their names on it.
Right.
Well, in rehab, you can like finesse a little bit. You can get a milk jug or something. In the halfway, you're just relying on people. Yeah. But salute to it. It's a great idea, though. I love that.
Absolutely.
Anything that
different animal.
Anything that I don't have to call my dad for in week 1 of being sober is a really good thing.
Because he's not answering the phone anyway.
Because he's pissed. He's pissed about that. What do you mean? I just sent you $100 like 3 weeks ago. You're in Florida?
No, that was for cigarettes. What do you mean?
That shit would be like, the number you have called has been disconnected.
Right. Yeah, good stuff. That's great, and it's great that it's in Liz's name.
Yeah, I did forget to mention something, just a little fun fact. So far, since the nonprofit has been open, we have been able to donate 50 totes to different facilities.
Nice.
Awesome.
So that's been pretty awesome. We have another round that's about to go out to not locally. So far we've been donating locally, but it is spread out. So if there's any listeners that are, in another state, or I don't know about another country, but right now it's pretty much USA wide.
And whether it pertains or not, and you're listening, follow Alexandria and the foundation on Facebook, and just sharing that is very powerful in itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very cool.
No, I absolutely applaud what you're doing. It's an amazing thing for an amazing person, and I think something that's so important too. That obviously if you don't know her story, you're not gonna know necessarily about it, but just the fact that this is something that in X amount of years, like her daughter can look back on and be like, have this amazing group of people that have come together for all that. And, you know, cause she's not going to know who her mom was.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be, she was very young when Liz passed. So, you know, whatever we can do, collectively to like give her a little bit of background, you know, make sure she knows like the good person that her mother was,
right.
you know, is huge. So like I said, I absolutely applaud it. And it's an amazing thing, you know, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks,
Absolutely.
guys.
Well, Liz, the second part of this wonderful evening is you get to do what I'm sure you're even more nervous to do now, is tell a little bit of your story and give us kind of the Alexandria Baxley story. So the floor is yours.
Awesome.
The floor is yours. We'll go right ahead.
Awesome. I'm gonna kind of keep this for reference, but try to be a little bit more just authentic here. I will say one of the first things that I thought of today was like, how am I going to filter my story? And I talked to my mentor, and she told me, like, why would you filter your story? There's somebody that's listening to this that is going to need to hear my background. And rather than kind of like discrediting or feeling like I'm not worthy of being able to share for whatever reasons, because those are still some things that I'm working on. My story is my story. So I'm going to give you guys the not paper, like raw, authentic version of it.
Hell yeah.
So really like the key parts of it. I started using when I was 12 years old. Or started like dabbling in drugs and alcohol. And by 15 years old, I was a full-blown daily user. So this was like my childhood, right? Like I kind of defined who I was and coped with every single emotion that I had from a very young age with drugs and alcohol. And when I turned 17, I was a pretty good student growing up. I actually used that to my advantage to like manipulate and try to live this like Hannah Montana best of both worlds, like double life type situation. And it worked for a little bit. I was supposed to graduate a year early. So I was like taking extra classes by choice and thought that doing uppers and doing my homework at 2 a.m. in the morning was like it. I was cool. Like I was doing everything that I thought that I wanted to do. I'm very hard-headed, stubborn, and think that I know everything from a very young age. So, at a young age, I didn't want to listen to direction. I didn't want to listen to anybody telling me to stop growing up so fast. You don't want to do these adult things, you're going to miss being a child. Here I am now as an adult, and, gosh, I should have listened. But I am, grateful for my experiences. At 17, I was withdrawn from high school. I had, when you withdraw from school or you've got to go to rehab, at least in New Mexico, they make you withdraw completely and get this sheet of paper with all of your grades, and they give you your GPA. The reason I mention this is because my GPA, I kid you not, I wish I had the paper so that I could show you, was 0.666. And that was like my number one, like the first sign that I should have seen, like something is wrong here. I'm a very spiritual person. God is who my higher power is. God is who has gotten me sober and keeps me sober. And so that was kind of like one of the first signs looking back that really spiritually like kind of woke me up a little bit. So at 17 years old, I was put into my first rehabilitation for 3 months, and it was a faith-based teen challenge treatment center. So we didn't really do much about the emotional part or drug education or therapy. It was really just sing choir songs and pray to God to get your addiction to, be healed. And, I think that works for some people. For me, it did not. So I really got introduced to recovery at 18 when I went to another facility shortly after. Getting into recovery at an early age is something that I want to touch on. Just the struggles of feeling like you're going to miss out on, partying or doing the things. When I was younger, I wasn't able to, say like go into a bar and order a drink legally. Maybe I got it done somehow, but I wasn't legally able to go order a drink. So when I first got sober at 18, part of me wanted to do it, but there was definitely another part of me that like knew in the back of my head that I was going to drink or that I wanted to still party and do things. So I really kind of did the runaround, in and out of treatment centers. I moved to North Carolina for a short period of time. My longest period of sobriety at that point, I had like 6 months, going to recovery groups and trying to kind of go at the traditional way of getting sober. And I always do this thing where I think that I'm going to work on like a medical marijuana program. At that point, it wasn't medicinal. I just went straight back into smoking weed and thinking that that would keep me away from other things. But at that time period, it didn't. I ended up moving down back here to Florida. And that's when I think I ended up at Essentials and met Greg. And also met my husband around the same time period. And that is when I got introduced to much heavier stuff. So when I was in New Mexico, I was addicted to methamphetamine. And then when I came here to Florida, I got introduced to needles and opiates and like pretty much anything that you could put in your arm. And that rocked my world. That took my addiction from maybe a 5 to like times 1,000. It was a different demon that I had ever dealt with before. And I really struggled at that point at keeping together like any period of sobriety. I would go to recovery meetings. I would do treatment. I would do outpatient. I would stay sober for 2 months or 3 months, sometimes even 6. And then I would go right back. I would have a slip. I do have, like I said, I met my husband in recovery. So that was a situation where everybody kind of tells you at the beginning of your sobriety, don't get in relationships, don't make any really big changes. Everything they told me not to do, I did. I got a boyfriend. I got a house. I like loaded on all of this stuff that I just wasn't ready for. And, we did end up being really toxic for each other. My husband and I, and using together and kind of being each other's downfall multiple times to the point where to get completely sober off of the hard stuff, I ended up having to move out of my house and live in a halfway house. And that's actually when I ended up moving in and having a trailer with Liz and keeping my distance and moving my relationship from like a living situation to, there was even a small time period where we were broken up and I had to put up some boundaries to try to focus on myself. I would be lying if I said that it took a long enough period of time to actually focus on myself. Before I got back with him and then married him. So navigating our relationship now and our marriage is both of us trying to learn who we are without each other while we're together. I recommend it kind of, but not if you're not ready for it. Couples therapy is a plus for sure. So about 3 years ago, or no, 4 or 5 years ago now, I guess. My gosh, back in 2019, Kind of like a Bonnie and Clyde situation. My husband and I got arrested in Fort Pierce on Avenue D after picking up some drugs. And wasn't even real cops. They were real cops. They were detectives. They were in jeans and like an undercover car. So they were watching. They knew what was going on. That was a huge turning point for me. I had never been to jail before. I wasn't in jail for more than 8 hours. It's not a place for me. I knew sitting there really, even in holding cell, like I felt like a dog in a cage. And from that point, I said, I don't want to do this. I started really heavily thinking about my actions and like where my life was taking me. So with that, I actually got into drug court and did the runaround with drug court. There were a couple of relapses in there, but the courts did a good job at keeping me sober because I was so fearful of going into jail. But I ended up kind of taking the cop out way. And I want to touch on this because this is my story. I put down hard drugs almost 3 years ago. But I got my medical card and I told myself, like, I'll use weed when I have cravings for other things. And it worked for a little bit. It worked for me to not put anything else in my system. It calmed me down, whatever you will, helped me not deal with my emotions. I used to say it helped me deal with my emotions. It just helped me not deal with them, helped me numb them, just like any other substance. And, I was able to build a life for myself. I was able to get back on my feet. And get involved in the businesses, go back to school, do some things that I wouldn't have been able to do if I was on the harder things. But I did just refresh my sobriety date. So it is the 23rd of December, 2024. So I've got like a hot 23, 22 days. And that was kind of the biggest thing. I was like worried about coming on here and saying, oh my gosh, I'm on a podcast with a bunch of guys that have like years of sobriety. And here I am going to try to speak, about sobriety.
Some of these guys are questionable.
We're not sure about Corey, honestly. So don't worry about it.
So, like for people that are listening, if you even have a day sober, like that's amazing, right? Because we cannot sometimes, like, I know if you're anything like me, I spent almost the last year trying to get to a point where I was just okay enough to put down the weed. It was not a coping mechanism. I was smoking just like I was doing crack or heroin. It was consuming my life. It wasn't contributing to any factor of my life. My relationship with my husband has been better. I've been working on myself, recovery groups and mentor and all of those things. I feel clearer. I feel better. And, I'm not feeling miserable. I was feeling alone, especially after Liz passing. I shut a lot of people out and I just didn't know how to deal with it. So I chose to deal with it with weed. And, I got to a point where for the first time ever, the courts weren't telling me to get sober. My husband had finally given up on trying to get me to, do something else rather than weed, doing recovery groups or any type of, sober activities. My parents weren't pushing me anymore. They have their own backgrounds with it, but, I have a lot of enabling in my family or a lot of enabling in my background. So that doesn't always align with getting sober. It's very hard. It's, learning how to put up boundaries. But ever since I've had these 23 days and gotten back involved, I've had the opportunity to come and be on this podcast. I've had opportunities to, speak to people and feel like I'm not a fraud. And just an opportunity to be clear again and feel like I'm trying to be the best version of myself. So rather than kind of giving you guys that filtered, I've been in recovery for, 4 years now or 3 years, I've been was dry. I was dry for a while. And that kind of leads me into the topic that I wanted to bring to you guys was, what it means to be dry or abstinent, or maybe even on a medical marijuana maintenance plan, as opposed to what it means to be in recovery and what it means to recover. So yeah, I think I'll let you guys kind of chime in.
Thank you very much, Alex. That was extremely honest and courageous. I honestly didn't know, it didn't really matter, but I didn't know that you were kind of reset your sobriety date. And I'm kind of glad I didn't, because if I did, I probably would have had a talk with the guys and been like, hey, we just got to make sure, that she like, blah, 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 whatever. And to be honest with you, I would have been dead wrong. And I'm really happy I didn't know. And I'm really, really honored for you to be here, and proud of you for being honest. And I'm going to say one thing about what you posed as a topic, and I'll let the other guys share, because we got to get out of here pretty soon. But there's a line in one of our books in our recovery literature that says, alcoholics of this type can never safely use alcohol in any form at all. And that my mentor taught me. He pointed at me and said, for you, Sean, any form at all means drugs, alcohol, weed, pill, whatever it is. And I teach that to the guys I work with, and I've always stuck to that. So I'm so happy for you, and thank you again.
Thank you, Sean.
So let's go real quick. We got about 5 minutes, guys. So let's go. Greg, I'll leave you for last, if that's all right.
Yeah, for sure.
Since it's your guest. Bill, you want to touch on it for a couple minutes real quick, or say whatever?
I appreciate the courage. I like that. And anybody that would judge, something like that hasn't been through it enough, obviously. So I appreciate it. I like what you said too. It is important. I think a lot of the person earlier can usually talk to the person earlier than them easier than maybe someone who's been around 10 years can, and all of it is integral part of the process and part of the ecosystem of recovery. So we don't shoot our wounded, thank God, or I wouldn't be here. Sobriety versus abstinence is, it's not optional to me, because I've opted into a life of peace. I lived a life of war and hell for a long time. And I honestly, to me these days, it's not, I don't have to push myself to do it. I enjoy doing it. I love doing it. And that's what recovery offers anybody. If you can get through the process, the long reconstruction ahead, and then finally, like, the clouds kind of part and you begin to see life differently. I was talking to somebody today with 3-4 years, and I'm like, you just, you're still kind of in the clouds, man. Like, you're getting there, and it's like, but today it's like, I don't know. I live a life of peace, and it's all byproduct of people teaching me how to live one day at a time. Corey, you're up, buddy.
That me? Okay. Yeah, no, I really appreciate the honesty too, and God, if I'm completely admitting a fault about myself, like, there's one thing that I rarely hear, but sometimes hear in like different recovery groups and stuff, and it's when somebody wants to say, well, I haven't had a drink in 8 years, and I've been off the other stuff for 3 years, and it's like, bro, then you've been sober for 3 years, man. Like, that's all that, whatever. And so I love that, like, one, resetting your sobriety date is a very brave thing to do, and that's really cool. But I also think about like I get quality versus quantity, like the time that we all have, like, truly amounts to zip if we're not using it well, and I know from experience, because just to pick a couple time frames out of a hat right now, like me at, like, I don't know, 6 months sober, I was a little naive, and I thought I was saving the world, but I was extremely passionate about what I was doing and the work that I was being taught and stuff, versus me at whatever I was in, like, 2021 to 2022, where I was, like, spiritually bankrupt and not doing anything for, like, my sobriety or to help anybody else or anything. Like, I'd rather hang out with the 6 month me any day. You know what I mean? So, like, I as a friend who actually also passed away, he used to say, I know people with 2 months that I'll let them house sit for me for a week. And I know people with years sober that I won't ask how to get to Circle K from, So that's so important, man. I'll leave it with this. Most important thing, and as you demonstrated tonight, if you don't find a group such as, I think I'm in that group with these guys and many other guys that you don't gotta lie to kick it. We truly just want people to be well, whatever that looks like, man. I have at least a couple acquaintances that probably aren't living sobriety like I would have them live it. And I do my very, very, very best to just love them anyway. And it is what it is, just want them to be happy. And I'm here if you want to get on this train or not, whatever. But yeah, good stuff, Alex. Good stuff.
Yep. Thank you, Corey.
Well said.
Greg, try and make it very succinct and quick. I've got so much to say, but I'm going to shorten it up. Thank you for being raw and real, and the honesty portion of that, because that's huge. And I think a lot of the time we get obsessed. I don't want to say obsessed, but we focus a lot on time. And just like Corey was saying, it's quality over quantity, and I try to look at things as a continuum. I am one of those people that when I finally had enough, you and our friend Corey got sober young, and came into recovery young, and I know you were saying like you kind of feel like you're afraid of missing out, or did I miss out? There's the flip side of that, which I got sober at 32, and it's just like I look back and I'm like, oh my God, all my friends are like set up for life, and I have nothing, I have nothing, and I've just wasted my life. So we get hung up on this notion of time, right? But I try to look at that quality. Another thing too is I love, because you're a walking testament of it, but I think oftentimes, and not only just to our young people, but certainly, I think they're the ones that are most affected by it, because like you said, like you never took a legal drink, you came into recovery with issues, concerning drugs, and that's something that I see so much, is people are like, oh, well, I can do this other stuff, I'm not gonna lie, even after all the torture I put myself and my loved ones through, I still kind of had that in the back of my head. Thankfully, I got around some people that informed me otherwise. My mentor, sat there and he told me, this is the fact about a real deal drug addict and alcoholic like yourself, and I think oftentimes we can all be guilty of somewhat watering down that message at times, instead of just giving it to people straight and like, dude, like, listen, like if you are what this literature, it's talking about, then you're not going to be able to safely use any of that stuff at all, So I could talk for another 20 minutes, but I'm not gonna. Thank you so much once again for coming on, and to anybody who's out there listening, pay the website a visit, donate a couple bucks, share, let's get this message out there. So thank you.
Thank you guys so much again for the opportunity and bearing with my nerves. Not a public speaker, if you can't tell.
You did great.
You really did a great job. And again, thank you again from all of us. And one more time, the website is www.theelizabethroseditchfoundation.org, spelled just like it sounds. Phone number 772-207-3040. Please donate. Please like it. Subscribe to it, however it's done. Find her on social media. Find the website. Please support this cause. Thank you, boys, as always. And shout out to our listeners. Please like, follow, and share on all socials at Trudge Report Pod. Again, that's at Trudge Report Pod. Email us, trudgereportpod@yahoo.com. Send mailbag requests for topics, questions, and comments to any of these handles. Remember, we are all here. If anyone wants to talk about recovery, our experience, or if you're struggling with some form of addiction, any lady listeners out there, if you want to get in touch with Alex, reach out to us on our socials and we'll put you in touch with her. Or you can just go to her website and call the phone number. Thank you again to Janine and Stella Mix Podcast Management. Good night. God bless, and may you trudge the road of
Let's
happy
go,
destiny.
Buffalo.
We'll see you next week.